Well, there's a lot of games you have to circle on the calendar. If you don't circle them all, you'll bypass one and probably end up with the result you don't like. So you're right, though. Toronto's they're a dynamic team, and they've got a lot of good players here, and we're certainly going to have to play a good game. So it's they've had a strong year, and I think our guys are looking forward to that. It's always fun coming to Toronto and playing a good hockey team that they have here. So should be good.
Peter, how do you approach Austin Matthews? I mean, he scored against you in both games, and obviously he's putting up big numbers.
We were hoping he had the flu. He's a guy that he finds ways to score goals. I mean, he scores them from everywhere, and so it goes back to some of the conversations. Not just about him; it's about their team. They've got other good players too. They're high octane, and so we've got to make sure we're ready to. We got to make sure we're ready to play good defense. Keep things in check, keep things in front of us, and then defend well. I think if you can do that, then you have a chance of being successful. And he's found ways to put pucks in the back of the net, but their team has found ways to generate offense. And so, I think we've got to make sure we're sharp defensively with our game.
A couple coaches in the league were fined this week for how they spoke to the officials. How have you sort of walked that line in your career of lobbying, but also not keeping things above board as much as possible?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. It's hard. I think there's a lot of emotion in the game, and at times frustration. I think that that when it comes to that, every coach is different in how they handle things on the ice and on the bench, and with referees, with their players, and things get hot sometimes. I can't speak to those situations because I don't know exactly what happened or what was said, but there's been times when I've been hot as well, and if you fall out of line, typically you get whacked with something.
How much do you know the referees over the years and know which buttons to push on which guys and which guys to pull back on and stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't know if it's pushing buttons. I think you're emotional about maybe what's going on in the game, something that might be happening in the game. That's what I've found. It's not like there's a plan to go out there and try and push buttons or not push buttons. You react to what you see or what's going on.
Do you know at the top of your head how many times you've been fined?
I don't know, a few.
What have you liked?
I behave much better now, though. Much better behaved.
Peter, what have you liked the most about your team during this last stretch that's allowed you to get some positive results?
It's not been one thing. I said this earlier. It's not. We go from a few games to a few games, and something is in check or something's out of whack, and we try to fix it. But it hasn't just been one thing that has led to wins, or it hasn't just been one thing that we've been trying to get better at. And so the needle keeps moving, and we keep trying to address the things that come up to win hockey games. I do like the way our guys are competing and the way they're fighting to win games. We've had to come back in some games, and it's been different though all the time. It hasn't been just one thing.
Matt Rempe's had quite a start. He's grabbed a lot of headlines. What have you sort of made of his debut here, and what's the organization's kind of message to him and how to manage everything?
He's
a bit of a cult hero.
We talk to our players inside the room, but he's had a positive impact on our team. He brings good energy. His line's been good. He skates well. He's been physical. He created some offense. Him and his line have chipped in some goals, and they've been positive players for us. So he's done a good job.
On the other end of that line, just what's your general assessment of Edstrom through this stretch here?
He's done the same. He's come in and given us some positive energy. It's a little bit different than Matt, but he's played good defense. We've used him in that role a little bit. He chipped in some offense, and another big guy with good skating, long reach, and has given us some good minutes.
I know Colin asked you the other day about, PK responsibilities. I'm just wondering, what's your, philosophy on, giving responsibilities to rookies, and how do you weigh when they're ready for those sorts of things?
Well, right now we're just work with guys in practice. The penalty kill is in a good spot, and we have players in place right now, but we continue to teach and work with players in practice, and when those opportunities arrive, it's a chance to insert somebody and see how they do.
Peter, it's 2 games remaining for you before the trade deadline. Is that enough time really to make a decision or change a mind, like, we need to get this or we don't need to get that? Is 2 games enough of a time
Say it again.
2 games remaining before the trade deadline?
Yeah,
Is,
so that's-
is that enough time to
that-
change your minds, or?
Right now, my mind is on the Toronto Maple Leafs and, how we can keep Matthews in check and keep their offense in check and win a hockey game up here in Toronto. And that's really where we're at. That's where I'm at right now. And so we've got a job to do tonight, and so we worry about the things that we can control.
In your
What kind
experience,
of, what kind of impact has Panarin had on a guy like Lafreniere this year?
Really positive. They've been excellent together. I think they think the game the same way, and that line has been really good. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Trocheck in there as far as an impact as well, because he's a real good teammate, and so the line has been really effective for us, the 3 of them together.
when it comes to the trade deadline, as a coach in your experience, when does the GM bring you into a conversation or let you know that something might happen and ask for your opinion? Does it? I'm sure it changes, but what's?
I think every coach and GM relationship is different, and so that's kind of a tough question to answer. Like, they're all different. And I can't speak to other organizations as well, but I've been in a few organizations, and I think that the communication is always a little bit different.
The Leafs just made a trade to acquire a right shot defenseman. They had to play a couple of games with an all lefty D this week because of injuries and stuff. In your experience, how important is the balance of the lefty-righty on the blue line?
I think that's a preference for a team. Right now we think it's fortunate we've had a lot of lefty-righty, but when we've had lefty-lefty in there this year, I think our defense pair hasn't missed a beat. We've jumped in there with some situations. Even recently, we had to have lefties together, and it didn't seem to be an issue.
Who's your goalie tonight?
Shesty's in net tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.